What is up, everybody? Stevie B here with Dynasty Life. In today's video, we're going to be going over basically an overview of reception perception. Matt Harmon's reception perception just came out with a bunch of rookie profiles, so we're going to be checking that out. We'll go through a little overview of what those results were. If you're unfamiliar with Matt Harmon's reception perception, you do need to go check that out. The website I'll put in the comments there, but it's literally receptionperception.com. He's got rookies on there. He's got veteran guys on there. And what he does is he basically charts and shows percentages, the data of, how often these guys are winning, how often are they getting open. So taking out all the other variables that we can't control, like the QB and all that, how often are these guys getting open? How often are they winning against man, against zone, against press coverage? But he goes through and he charts all these things because there is a correlation between, having high success rates in those areas and being an elite wide receiver in the NFL. So we're going to go over that. We'll take a look at some of these rookies here. Now, this is a paid site, so I can't show you everything. I'm not going to be showing you the exact site. I'm just going to be showing you the charts on some of these rookies that he just came out with. I did get permission to be able to show this because it is a paid site. I wanted to make sure that it would be okay for me to actually show some of this information. So as long as I don't show the whole site, we are good. But guys, make sure you definitely go check that out. But before we get into this video, do me a quick favor there. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you do play Dynasty Fantasy Football. But let's get right into it. Guys, so let's take a look at JSN's chart. And this just kind of proves what we already knew, or what we already kind of figured going in. We know he was a tremendous route runner. We know how good he can be. Obviously, outproducing, Wilson, outproducing Olave in that one particular season. Take a look at the success by route, which is up on top here. And you can see there's green, there's yellow, and there's red. Green means that you are above average at winning that particular route. Yellow means that you are average, and red means that you are below average. So a little bit below average in the comebacks and the curls, but those are the routes that he ran the least amount of, as you can see kind of over there. Shows you the percentage of the routes that they are actually winning on there. So JSN pretty much elite at all the different routes except for that comeback and that curl, which he didn't run a lot of. But overall, I mean, tremendous, success by route tree as far as the different routes that you can run there. And then take a look at the bottom now. You've got the success rate against man coverage, against zone coverage, against press coverage. And you look at those success rates 75, 81.4, 83.3. Puts him over the 85th percentile against man coverage, the 97th percentile against press coverage, and reception perception grades elite tier wide receivers that are 75% man, 80% zone, and 80% press. These are the results of elite wide receivers in the NFL. So JSN is already showing that here on his rookie chart. So excited to see where he goes and what he winds up doing in the NFL. This is why I like reception perception so much, and it's definitely a tool that I love to use to evaluate some of these rookie wide receivers that are coming in. JSN by far put himself at the top of the class, in kind of a tier of his own of the other wide receivers that are in his class. And just to give you some perspective, if we look at last year's Garrett Wilson, his rookie one coming in, you can see all the green up there, but you can see, 71% against man, 87 against zone, 72 against press. So a little bit lower than JSN, but obviously those things can improve. And from season to season, you can see an increase in those areas. But you can see right off the bat that Garrett Wilson is right up there, right up there with some of those elite tier productions, what we're looking for, that 75, 80, and 80. Just to give you a little perspective there of what Garrett Wilson's chart looked like. So JSN's success rate versus man would have ranked second last year against the prospects, only behind Chris Olave there. You can see like he's already got some of the talent that is most likely going to make him successful. And Matt Harmon even goes on to say on his article of JSN that everything in JSN's profile shows he can be a legitimate wide receiver one in the NFL and easily the top prospect in the class. So this reception perception that Matt Harmon came out just kind of proves and shows that JSN is that wide receiver one in this class in kind of his own tier there. In Johnston, the next rookie profile that we're going to be looking at here, and you can see a lot more red, a lot more yellow, not as much green as we saw, with JSN there. And if you look at the success rate, versus coverages down here, it's almost 75% against man, which is in the 85th percentile, which is very good. We do like to see that, from Quentin Johnston. So we like that he can get off against that man coverage. Zone coverage, he's a little bit lower, 72, only 72, 73% there. And then against press coverage, not even 70%, which is a little concerning because of the frame, because of the size that Quentin Johnston is. You would like to see that number a lot better, against that press coverage there. So obviously that is a concern. The hands catching is a concern as well. Just catching that ball into the body, not really using his hands, especially contested catches, not good against contested catches at all, especially compared to a guy like JSN who had like an 85%, contested catch rate. We would like to see against press coverage a lot better for Quentin Johnston. We like to see those jump balls and contested catch situations improve for a guy like Quentin Johnston at that particular size. Still has great potential and a great upside, but he does have a low floor. And this kind of just confirms that there with what you can see there, against zone and against press. But again, just tread carefully. Great upside, but just a very, very low floor there. Guy we're taking a look at is going to be Jordan Addison, my wide receiver 3 here. So you've got a lot more green here on Addison than there was Quentin Johnston, of course. The 9, the cut, and the screen is what Jordan Addison really didn't do well at, but he excelled in all the other areas pretty much. And now let's take a look at his success rate against some of these coverages here. I mean, 71% against man puts him in the 68th percentile. Against zone, he's 80%, which is what we like to see. And then against press coverage, he's only 51%, which is not that good. He is a smaller guy. He's got to get better at coming off of the line. He's got to get a little bit stronger, especially now going into the NFL. It's going to be even tougher to get off some of those press coverages than it was, in college. So that is a little bit of concern, with Jordan Addison. Pretty good against man coverage. We know that obviously he can run routes, but I still think he's kind of like that borderline wide receiver 2. I don't know if he has the upside to be that a wide receiver 1 on a particular team. We can see now, the difference between JSN and, a Quentin Johnston at Jordan Addison. Kind of, as we've been saying with Jordan Addison, kind of comparing him to Devonta Smith. He needs that number 1 wide receiver across from him. And even Matt Harmon goes on to say it in his article on Addison, you know, he might need a true number 1 guy across from him. But overall, Jordan Addison, good prospect, great route runner. We just worry a little bit about that press coverage. Hopefully, he can get a little bit better against that man in that zone, but probably a more of a wide receiver 2, for fantasy as far as his ceiling is concerned. Stuff we got Z.FLOWERS, who actually came out pretty good, better than I expected for his reception perception. 73 against men, 80 against zone, 72 against press. So, he's right there on that borderline of almost elite. Wins the majority of the routes, struggles a little bit with the dig and the comeback. But you look at some of that success rate versus the coverages. I mean, 73 against man, 80 against zone, 72 against press. So, in that 74th, in that 79th percentile for, man coverage and press coverage. So, we do know obviously he is a good route runner. These guys that can run routes, really well have been really succeeding lately in the NFL. And Matt Harmon even goes on to say he's more convinced now that, Zay Flowers might have that upside, to be one of those elite wide receivers. His metrics would have been top 5 compared to, last year's prospects as well. Harmon also goes on to say that his drops can be an issue that might keep him from being one of those tier 1 prospects. We've seen this a lot, with college players. We'll see what happens in the NFL and, if that continues or not. But he compares him to Deontay Johnson, a great, great route runner, a little bit of a smaller guy, of course, Zay Flowers is, but can separate at all 3 levels. So Zay Flowers, an interesting prospect coming in, can possibly turn out to be, the wide receiver 2 in this class, if everything works out for him properly, if some things don't work out for others. But we'll see, obviously, what happens. Very encouraging, reception perception for Zay Flowers. So excited about that. We got Josh Downs, incredible smaller wide receiver. Route running is, also insane for this guy, for Josh Downs. Matt Harmon's got him as a 2nd tier wide receiver, just a lot smaller, 5'9", only 170 pounds. So just a smaller guy. He can play inside or outside, best used in the slot, obviously because of his size. 75% against man, 80 against zone, 76 against press in the 87th percentile, 86th percentile. So he's got really good reception perception numbers, which is definitely exciting. Believe it or not, Josh Downs actually the best contested catch rate in the class at 93.8, which is crazy for a guy that's his size. So really, I mean, don't get put down by the size and the weight. I mean, the guy is an elite player. He's an elite route runner. So hopefully he finds himself in a good situation. But he's one of, my favorite kind of lower end guys where you can get, in the back end of the first round of those super flex drafts, maybe early second round. Obviously depending how that board falls. But, just a tier bit under, the JSNs, the Quentin Johnsons, Addisons, and the Zay Flowers. The last guy we're going to talk about is going to be Jalen Hyatt, getting pushed up draft boards because of the speed, because of the season that he had last year. Didn't really run a fast combine, 40 speed. We thought that he would be a lot faster than he was. But one of the major issues for me with Jalen Hyatt, and this is why I love perception reception, because it basically just confirms what I was already thinking or what I already knew or thought I knew, was that Jalen Hyatt is just wide open on almost all of his highlights. He's just wide open, busted coverages, or he's just that fast. He's getting behind, the defense, but he's not a great route runner. And this just confirms that, right? Reception perception is confirming that for us, showing us that Jalen Hyatt is not, that guy that some people think that he is. Okay. He is not great against man. I mean, under 70%, not great against zone, under 70%, not great against press, under 55%. I mean, 42nd percentile, fourth percentile, 18th percentile. These numbers are not good at all. He's not winning routes. He's not getting separation unless he's running that 9 route, right? It's all he's really good at compared to everything else. So he's a guy I think you definitely have to be careful of. And what might trick you is that he's gonna get the draft capital. He might get the draft capital because of the speed, because of what he did last year. He might get that draft capital of, early first round, second round, maybe. Maybe he goes further. Maybe he goes further than that as teams really start looking at it. But I don't want to draft Jalen Hyatt. Let your league mates do that. Don't take that chance. He's a deep ball threat. Matt Harmon's got him a comp as like Will Fuller, which is fair. He's got that crazy speed, but he hasn't really been relevant. Definitely just be careful with the Jalen Hyatts. Again, reception perception is just such a great tool that is, there for us, especially as dynasty players, because we want the leg up. We want to know things that our other league mates don't know. So, if we have the upper edge on, the rookies and who we should draft or who we should take chances on, that gives us an advantage that other people do not have. So, you do your own research, you kind of do your own evaluation, and then reception perception just kind of confirms or denies what you thought or what you did not think. So, I love reception perception, especially for the rookies that are coming in. One of my favorite tools to use. Again, they've got veterans on there as well. It is a paid subscription, so you do have to pay for it. Make sure you guys check that out, receptionperception.com. I'll post that down in the comments as well. Shout out to Matt Harmon. Thank you for letting me use this on my video. And I do appreciate everything you do there. So shout out to you guys. Make sure you guys go give him a follow on Instagram, Twitter. He's constantly posting stuff about reception perception as well. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think in the comment. What picks do you have? What are some of the guys that you're targeting, you're not targeting? Does reception perception give you a different perception about some of these guys that you thought of beforehand? So let me know down there in the comments. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Before you guys get on out of here, just make sure you guys do me a quick favor there. Hit that like and subscribe if you do play Dynasty Fantasy Football.